Maybe you found this video because it is your first time that you're going to actually have to clean your Shrooly and you're not exactly sure what you have to do like 100%. Or maybe you're just checking it out because you want to buy one and you kind of want to know what you're getting into for how much work this thing is going to be to clean. Either way, I got you. I'm going to walk you through from beginning to end cleaning my Shrooly so you know exactly what you need to do. If you're new around here, then hi, I'm Kiri, and if you are not new around here, then welcome back, my plant nerds, and now my fungi nerds. Probably the first question that we need to answer is how often do you actually need to clean your Shrooly? And the answer is after every grow cycle. When we're growing mushrooms, they can give off spores, and we want to make sure that there aren't any hanging about, especially if you're switching to growing a different type. But just in general, we need to keep this environment as clean and sterile as possible. It does mean that you are going to need to clean this regularly. Lucky for us, it's not a big deal to get this thing cleaned. One of the main reasons for having failures when you're growing mushrooms at home is to have some sort of cross-contamination, either from old spores or some mold getting in there. And we want to do everything that we can to prevent that. And one of the main ways to do that is to stay on top of your cleaning. And y'all know I hate cleaning things, but this thing is way easier to clean than some of my other hydroponic systems, so that is a plus. So now that we know that we have to clean this thing regularly, the next thing is, what do we need to clean it with? And for the most part, I have some soapy water here in my oh so cool Jack Skellington Pyrex containers because I love me some Nightmare Before Christmas and Christmas in general. Love it. Check out Home Alone Lego over there because that was our Christmas Lego. But I digress. You are going to need some soapy water, and then you're going to need something soft. We don't want to use anything that's going to scratch the unit, so anything soft to clean it. So you could use a paper towel, you could use a sponge, you could use a dishcloth. And what I like to use, and it's the same thing I use to clean my hydroponic systems, are these papaya reusable paper towels. I do have an affiliate link. I will put that in the description below, or you can just go and navigate there yourself and check it out. But if you do want to use the affiliate link, it does help me out, and I really appreciate it. So the other thing that we are going to need for cleaning is some isopropyl alcohol. I like to keep mine in a little tiny spray bottle, but we'll get to that in a second. And that's it. Now we actually have to start cleaning this. The thing we need to do is we need to unplug the unit. So we don't want to be cleaning it with water and everything when it's plugged in. So I will go ahead and unplug it. Take off both of the doors and we're going to set them aside. And then we are going to take out the little humidifier. I'm also going to take off the top that covers the HEPA filter. I'm going to carefully take out the HEPA filter and set that well away from any water because you do not want to get this HEPA filter wet. Don't do that. And then the other thing to take out is my wick. That's going to need to be cleaned. You can see some stuff on there. And then, you guys can't see, but there is some water left in the little water container, so we need to get that out. So you should have gotten one of these little water things, which is what we use to fill up the water tank. And the handy thing is it fits right in. So it's a little tight, but you can use that to scoop out as much of the water as possible. Okay, so that is all emptied out. And because we know that keeping everything sterile is so important, make sure you're washing your hands with soap and water before you begin this whole process. So I have my cloth and I'm just going to give it a good wipe down on all of these surfaces. I'm actually going to put the camera down so I can do this properly because I do not want to risk any contamination. So I'm just going to get this done and then I'll come back and show you guys some more. So when you are cleaning it, make sure to turn the unit around and clean it from the other side because things look different from a different perspective and spores are itty bitty. And we want to make sure that we're getting everything clean. It's like scrubbing behind your ears like your mom told you. Make sure that everything is all scrubbed and clean. And then once you're done washing down the whole main unit with your soapy water, make sure that you take whatever you're using to clean it and rinse it out really, really well with cold water, and then go back and wipe down the whole unit again so we make sure that we're not leaving any soap residue anywhere. And then once that's done, it is all spick and span, and I'm going to set this behind me and not plug it in yet, but I'm just going to set it behind me. Then we can go through washing all the individual bits, because again, spores are really tiny. They could be hiding anywhere, so you just don't slack on this, guys. Because if you slack on this and then it affects your next grow negatively, you are not going to thank yourself for the time, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes that you saved doing a crappy cleaning. If that wrecks your next grow, it's just not worth it. So on the back of the HEPA cover, I'm just making sure that I'm going right against all the edges just to make sure that I'm trying to get everything clean. Once this is done with the soapy water, I'll take this and I'll just run it under the tap just to make sure I'm getting all that soap off. It's really not that hard. Like this doesn't, I hate cleaning. Like I hate cleaning. And this really doesn't take that long. So it's that right done. I'm just gonna take my doors and give them a good scrub-a-dub. And same thing, once these are done, I'm gonna take them to the sink. Ideally, I could have done the whole thing at the sink, but my kitchen's a bit of a mess, so I decided I would shoot it here and save you guys from seeing my messy kitchen. Then we have to clean the humidifier. That's this little guy here. And this one you want to spend a bit of time looking at it. So if you're going to have issues with spores or with any mold, other than showing up on the block itself, this is where I have seen them before. So this one, it says push right here, and we're going to gently, because this thing can slide out, we're going to slide that out. And then we need to take a real good look. Just make sure that we're not seeing any spores. They're pretty apparent if they're there, if there's any mold or anything going on, but do the due diligence to take a look. This is looking clean, so I'm gonna set this aside for a second, clean off the tank cover. This fits in my little bowl of soapy water, so give that a good scrub. Lots of nooks and crannies on the back of this, so make sure you're getting into all of those as much as possible. So this one we're gonna wanna run under the water. And don't worry, because I know one of the things that I was really worried about the first time I had to clean this is I was worried about getting it wet, and it is fully waterproof. They have made sure of that, so you are totally good to get this under the running water and give it a good clean, which is nice to know, because honestly, I was so concerned the first time. You know, I don't want to wreck it, but I want to make sure it's clean, so at least we know we can wash this safely. Now, if you did see some spores or mold or anything on this, after you've done cleaning it, you can give this a spritz with the isopropyl, but if there's nothing on there, you can skip that step. So I'm gonna take this to the kitchen and rinse it off. All right, so that is done. I'm gonna set that one aside. All right, so the next one we need to clean is this wick, and you'll notice probably some stuff builds up right under where the fan sits on top. The way that we're going to clean this is we are going to take it to the sink, and then we are going to run it really, really well under cold water. Now, you want to be careful. You don't want to rip it, but you do want to get it clean. And then once that's done, then we're going to carefully wring it out. And then we'll come back here and we need to clean it with the isopropyl. This is the one thing you are going to clean with the isopropyl. These wicks are reusable, but you only want to reuse them once. So ideally, your first grow, you take it out, you clean it, and then you can put it back in and use it again. But the recommendation is after cleaning it once, one reuse, that you are going to go and get a new wick. So I'm going to go give this a rinse and squeeze it out, and then we'll clean it up. So once it is all clean and you've wrung out as much water as possible, you're going to take your isopropyl alcohol. A spray bottle makes this a lot easier, and then you're just going to spritz it all over. You want to get as much coverage as possible to make sure that this is all clean. So let's go ahead and do that. We can take the wick and we can pop it back in. If you're doing this cleaning and you're about to restart some new mushrooms, then you can go ahead and refill your water container. Make sure to only use 400 milliliters of cold water. If you're not about to regrow right away, then just go ahead and pop the wick back in, and then when you're ready to grow, you put the water in that. Right, so I have to go and rinse all of these off, so I'm going to do that very quickly, and then we will tackle the HEPA filter, which there really isn't much to do, so don't worry about that. So those are all rinsed off, and they are just draining in the sink. And now the HEPA filter. Make sure your hands are dry. We are just going to inspect this for any evidence of mold or spores, and that is pretty much all that you need to do for this. So you may be wondering, so when am I replacing this? For the most part, you are good to keep using the HEPA filter for about 6 months, or 6 cultivation cycles, kind of whichever one comes first. Or if you're noticing any discoloration or mold on the filter, or you're seeing that the airflow just is kind of reduced, and that could be because the HEPA filter is clogged. That's kind of your rule of thumb for when you want to get a new one. And that's it. We're done. All we have to do now is reassemble the unit, and then it is ready to grow more mushrooms. So I've got all my pieces dried off, and we will reassemble in a minute. But one thing I just want to remind you guys, make sure that you dry out the top of the HEPA filter, because if we spent all this time not getting it wet and then there's water on the bottom and you click it in, you're going to get water on the filter. So just make sure this one is super dry. Okay, so I have the wick in there. I'm going to put my HEPA filter in and put the cover on. Okay, so that's done. Then we have the top of the water container. So I need to get the fan back in there. We'll just slide that guy in, click it in, and then that can go back in there. And then we'll get the doors onto the back, click that in. Just make sure you're pushing it in all the way around because we want to be able to keep that sealed. We have the last door. Seal this one all the way around. There we go. I'd be really interested to know down in the comments below, what are the favorite mushrooms that you like to grow? So far, I have done some pink oyster and some regular oyster mushrooms, and I'm about to start some yellow oyster mushrooms. And I also really want to do some lion's mane, but let me know, what have you grown in your Shrooly, or what are you most excited to grow? And if you have any hints or tips, then go ahead and share those in the comments as well, because I am learning. I'm on this mushroom growing journey, so I am happy to take any knowledge from anyone else that has some to share. The comment section can be great for that. We are done. And even by my standards of hating to clean, did not take very long. And the last thing to remember to do is to plug it back in so that it is ready to grow again. And if you're looking for some cool mushrooms to grow, check out this video over here.